Hey y'all, welcome back to the Chalk Sports Podcast, and today we are recapping the Super Bowl. Everyone, I'm a little late. It's Wednesday, February 12th. By the time you're seeing this, it'll be Thursday, probably at 12 p.m. But I eventually got to it. It was been a busy few days. I made a few videos to keep y'all happy. But now let's get started. I want to get straight into it. We're going to be talking about the Super Bowl. We're going to touch on some college basketball, maybe some NBA. We'll see when we get there. But let's go straight into the Super Bowl, man. And we're going to do it in sections. We're going to do the Chiefs, and then we're going to talk about the Eagles. So the first thing I want to talk about the Chiefs is the O-line. I don't know if you all watched it. I would assume you did. The Chiefs O-line was pressured at a 38% rate without a single blitz. That is embarrassing level. And I know, hey, Chiefs got here, refs didn't help them though this time. And people make these excuses, but that O-line has never been too great. Last time they lost the Super Bowl was against the Bucs when their O-line got obliterated. And now they lose again, not only due to the O-line, but in large part, the O-line was a huge reason they had trouble. That was just the biggest part. I don't think you can ever sustain a competent team with a 38% pressure rate without a single blitz. When you get blitz, maybe you can maybe I'd understand a little more. I know some teams had it worse, but it's 38%. And it could have been way worse. I think it was 42 in the first half or something like that. I don't know. But continuing, the run game was non-existent too. It wasn't even like the O-line was the whole reason they lost. I mean, it's 22-40. In all reality, it's 26-40. But the run game was just nowhere to be found. 25 yards from Mahomes, 9 from Kareem Hunt, 8 from P. Ryan, 7 from Pacheco. How you can't have a competent running game with your highest running being a quarterback with 25 yards. That's just not how a team should function. And the longest was more than P. Ryan and Pacheco, and almost more than Hunt. And they didn't even run the ball that much. 4 attempts, 3 attempts, 1 attempt, 3 attempts. Wow, it was just a blowout when it comes to the run game too. And yes, Eagles did start hot. They got up to a big lead. Run game kind of gets eliminated. But in the first quarter alone, you could have ran the ball more. They didn't score much in the first quarter. By the fourth, they scored 7 by the first quarter. By halftime, I don't understand it. But first quarter, run that ball. They kept it out of their playmakers' hands, and that's what shot them in the foot. Continuing, the refs did not back the Chiefs at all, it seemed. They called the first holding call in Chiefs in the history of the Mahomes era in the Super Bowl. That one holding call was the first time they've ever called holding on the Chiefs when Mahomes was the quarterback in the Super Bowl. That is insanity that you could go, I think it was 5 games, 5 games without getting a single holding call. Insane that you could ever. And then, of course, weird, the one they call a holding call is the one they lose. They lost one more, but that was more Tom Brady than Mahomes or that defense or anything like that. Continuing that, Mahomes stat padded like crazy. He did not do that good. His stat line is way inflated. 257, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. In all reality, the first half, in the first quarter, he was 3 for 6 with 17 yards. And in the second, he was 3 for 8 for 16 yards and 2 picks. So, match that up. Cooper DeJean had more receiving yards and a touchdown on that one pick 6 than Mahomes threw the entire first half. Which you can't have a DB out yard you in one play. That alone is just a crazy stat up. And it's just embarrassing to see that you scored 0 in the first half. They didn't get a single point in the first half, which showed that much incompetency from them. And in all reality, they only scored 6, with 16 of them coming in the fourth quarter, when the game was already oh my god, it was already over. I don't know what I have to do to not yawn in this chair when I sit down. So I also had that Mahomes looked like scared, like he was seeing ghosts for a minute. And he's thrown more interceptions than Tom Brady in the Super Bowl with half the amount of games. Tom Brady played 10 through 6 picks. Mahomes played 5 through 7. That is an insane difference when you consider, like, oh, Mahomes go conversations. This doesn't completely eliminate them, but it definitely should silence them for a little bit, because that already is not a great look when it comes to who you are and what it takes to win in the Super Bowl. And when you're throwing picks, is it really you winning the Super Bowl, or is it your team backing you up enough to where you win? Worthy in the first half, Worthy had 1 yard, and Kelsey and D-Hop had 0. So the best 3 receivers totaled for 1 yard in the first half. And I just had the defense got melted. They just got picked apart. Jalen Hurts shredded them. They got embarrassed, like, flat out. You could see the frustration the minute they went. They crumbled. They crumbled so quick. In the first quarter, they already were frustrated. Helmets flying, like, getting super pissed. And you can't have that as a quarterback. You can't have your team get crumble, but then he did. So everyone's breaking down. This team's, like, just shattered. Emotionally, physically. They're demolished. It's like, you can't have a physically demolished team that early. It was literally the second quarter before they started to mentally just check out. And no, you can't have a mental checkout when it comes down to it, because it's the Super Bowl. It's not like it's some willy-nilly backyard football. Mahomes had a minus 19.3 EPA. So basically, he lost them 19.3 points. Mahomes did so bad. He was the largest part of that loss I think I've ever seen in a minute. And it's kind of not, it doesn't suck to see, because boo Chiefs, I don't like them. But it's weird to see. It's so out of character to go minus 19 EPA with a minus 5.2 completion percentage over expected. And he had time to throw with a 3.07 with a high pressure rate. He threw 6 sacks. He took 6 sacks, 2 picks. Like, that is an unorthodox level of struggle from him that you may not see again, but does it matter? Does it matter if you see it again? Because you saw it once against obviously a pretty solid team. But continuing, we'll go to the Eagles. We'll stop beating up on the Chiefs. They're already pretty dumb. The Eagles showed up rolling. They punched the Chiefs in the mouth early, and they left with the win. It's as simple as that. If you come in hot and can beat up the team you're playing, then it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, who you're playing against. You will win if you can beat them early. Now, I know it was the Chiefs, so I was very concerned that they would come back. But they still punched them in the mouth early. It was like, boom, game started, bow, knocked out. Chiefs just rocked back. And then by the second quarter, they're just Mike Tyson just pulping them. 24-0 at the halftime, and then you just hold on, you coast. But the biggest thing I always wondered about this game was Saquon. Now, I love Saquon, But he had a minus 12.5 EPA. That is not great at all. Like, that's low for a guy who overall is a big factor of that offense. And if I told you that, you would not think they would have won this game. If I told you Saquon had 22.3 yards a carry on 57 yards with minus 12.5 EPA, you wouldn't believe me. You'd call me a liar. You'd call me a lot of things. But no, he just struggled. He did not look great. But on the other side, it was Jalen Hurts. And he looked like a top 5 quarterback. And I have zero bias, obviously. 72 rush yards, 221 pass yards with a 12.6 completion percentage over expected with 18.2 EPA. And then on the ground, he had a 3.1 EPA. That is insanity. He had 15 mile per hour runs. More than anybody in this game. And he was a huge part to this win, obviously, why he won MVP, even though I think it should have gone to somebody on the defense. He showed out, and it showed. Like, you could see it being the difference. He was the difference. The defense held on, but the offense was the final knife. It was like the defense was like a knife, and they hit, but the offense was like a salt-covered knife or poison, and they were the last bit that put in the Chiefs, and boom, they start to just dismantle and break apart. So, the biggest thing, though, that game, obviously Hurts was, but the trenches were so dominated by the Georgia, D-tackles, D-line, Jalen Carter, all these guys who make up that D-line were the biggest part of the defense. It was the biggest part of the Eagles, because if they don't show up, I don't think the Eagles win this game. I mean, that doesn't make sense. It does make sense that they wouldn't show, if they didn't show up, if Williams didn't get 2 sacks, if Davis didn't get 1, if Carter wasn't pressuring every play, if Brandon Graham didn't get a tackle, if they didn't make those impacts, that the Eagles would win this game. I don't see a world where the Eagles win this game without that D-line hitting. Josh Sweat generated 6 pressures on 34 with 2.5 sacks. That's not great, and it's just the pressure rate that hits him hard. It hits him hard and fast, and just boom, game. By the time they get ready to adjust for that in halftime, it doesn't matter. They're down too much that their mental is not there. And I literally wrote the definition of punching a team in the mouth. I already went over that, but obviously just boom, done, knockout, within seconds. Coaching was good. Sirianni did decent. I mean, it's Sirianni, so they wanted him out of there earlier, but now he's going to stay for another 2 years guaranteed. He's going to get Doug Peterson treatment. Hopefully, if they continue to struggle, if they struggle after the season, he's probably going to be gone. But for right now, we're going to hold on. I want to just point out something, though. I was right. I said way early in the season, I was like, oh, this is the most well-rounded team. Coming in the playoffs, I said this is the most well-rounded team. I had them in the conference championship. I had them losing just because I wanted the Commanders to make it all the way. And this was before the playoffs even started. This was crazy predictions on my side. And I was not only right, but I was literally 2 troll picks away from being correct. Because I had Chiefs Chargers or something like that. And I had the Chargers winning because I didn't want the Chiefs to make it back. And I had Eagles Commanders. And I had Commanders winning because I didn't want the Eagles to win. I was so close. But such as such. every position outperformed the Chiefs. I don't think you can name a single position where the Chiefs didn't just get smoked. Even like something like punting was a decider where the Chiefs got put in the back end every single play. Like boom, 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 deep punt, deep punt, deep punt. Pinning them back and back. It's just like they just got demolished on every side of the ball. You couldn't name me a side of the ball that they didn't get beat down on, that they didn't lose because of it. I mean, it just shows like how dominant this Eagles team was. They rolled the Chiefs that were favorites. That means an upset has happened every the last like 3 Super Bowls. I don't know how past that, but I mean, they're still young too. That's the scary part. Is they're still young. They could still be a threat for the years to come. I don't know who they're losing in free agency, but they're still scary. And it's like this team probably ranks top 20 all-time champions, so at least top 50%. I don't know. That might be another video idea, but it shows just like, hey, these teams win games. They win championships when well built, when put together, when patient. So it's not surprising. This game I said it was either going to be a 2-touchdown blowout or a 3-point Chiefs win. And I was right. It was a blowout. Not 2 touchdowns, but you get the gist. It's just embarrassing to see, like, the Chiefs just getting picked apart and embarrassed on live television. It was absolute butt kicking. I don't think there's anything more to say about this game. Let's talk about the halftime show for a minute, because I personally loved it. I know some people don't like it, but I loved the way Kendrick built it. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. He didn't change anything. He didn't conform to what people wanted, what people didn't. You could tell by the performance. Like, he said in there that play the game. Do you know how to play the game? Like, stick with it. Play the game or something like that. I don't remember. But rewatch that. Make sure you rewatch. Make sure you understand what he's saying, because some of the stuff, it was genius. Where he's like, deduct 1 life after he does Man in the Garden, stuff like that. It's sneaky, exciting. As a Kendrick fan myself, it was cool to see. I really enjoyed that halftime show. It was probably in my eyes, it was probably top 5, but it's all reality. People will probably put it top 10. I don't know. Continuing, we're gonna hop over to college basketball, and we're going to talk about Florida. I want to give my boys some love. We beat Auburn. Of all the teams, we beat the 1-seeded Auburn 90-81. Puts us ranked number 2 or number 3. Let's just talk about so the Red Raiders lost tonight. Just preemptive warning. Red Raiders lost, and South Carolina almost pulled off another upset. I still stand by that. South Carolina is the sneakiest team in college basketball. But let's just get right into it. Let's talk about the rankings, because things have kind of changed. We have a tie. I don't think I've ever seen a tied ranking, but Florida and Duke are tied. So Auburn's 1. Agree to disagree. I think Bama probably deserves it, but again, Auburn has a better record, so they kind of deserve it. Continuing, Alabama's 3, Alabama's 2. Totally agree. Can't disagree with that, unless you want to put them at the 1. Duke and Florida are tied for 3rd. Again, never seen that before. I think it's disrespectful to Florida, considering Duke just lost to Clemson. Florida has the same amount of losses, but just beat a better team. Tennessee's ranked 5. Again, fair. Not really a team I'd put above them. Not really a team I'd put below them. Houston is 6. I disagree here. Purdue just lost. But I don't disagree because Purdue just lost. I forgot about that. Houston's fair at number 7 or 6. Purdue's at 7. They're going to drop. This was before the most recent Purdue loss. Texas A&M is 8. St. John's is 9. I've always said St. John's is so overrated. I've been saying that for the longest time. A&M is also pretty overrated, but I mean, they'll stick up there because they're SEC and they're in the hardest conference. But again, St. John's is the most overrated school. They literally play nobody, play Villanova and lose. Villanova, what the hell am I saying? Continuing, we have Iowa State at 10, fair. Can't really disagree with you there. I mean, they've been pretty good all season. Lost a few games, fell a little bit. Michigan State at 11. I disagree there. I think they need to be up. Probably where St. John's is. St. John's is at 9. I'd put Michigan State to 9. Texas Tech at 12. They're playing right now, kicking ASU's butt. No, it's 30-35. So, TBD, they're kind of all right. They're not great, not bad. Arizona's been flying up the rankings, ranked 13, jumped 7 spots this week. Crazy sneaky team, but 17-6 is not a great record. I know, hey, they've been on a roll. They beat some good teams. I'm pretty sure, they're on a roll. They just lost to Kansas State. But they beat Texas Tech. They beat BYU. They beat Arizona State, Iowa State. They were on a 6-game win streak coming into this one. They're going to drop a little bit, but that's not the poll makers' fault. Memphis is so underrated. 4-loss team, ranked 14th. They are one of the better teams in college basketball. Yeah, they lose some weird ones. They lost to Temple. They lost to Mississippi State. Lost to Arkansas and Auburn. Really weird teams. They beat UConn, Clemson, Ole Miss, and that's all I need. They played nobody else for the rest of the season, so they're going to sit. They're not going to get much higher because they play South Florida, Wichita State, FAU, Rice, UAB, UTSA, and South Florida. Not great teams. They'll probably stay the same. They'll probably flatline. Kentucky at 15. This is where SEC bias kicks in. I think having Kentucky at 15 with 7 losses, crazy overrate. But it's SEC ball, so a lot tougher competition than some of the other teams. Wisconsin is at 16, 19-5 there. Why is Kentucky ahead of them? Swap those two, and I think we got a pretty good deal. They shot up 5 this week. Kansas 16-7, just dropped 1. They look bad, man. They look really bad lately. Kind of washed up team. Hunter Dickinson plays 1,000 years of college basketball, and they can't even. They went 2-2 in the last. They went 3-3 in the last 6, and they lost to Baylor and Kansas State. Kansas State might shoot up into ranked. They might be pretty high ranked after winning 2 ranked games. Marquette at 18-6 is 18th. Again, I don't know why. I don't know why Kansas is ahead of them. I think Marquette. Oh, never mind. Now I know why Kansas is ahead of UConn, St. John's, and Creighton all beat Marquette. They went on a kind of bad roll. We'll see how it bounces back. Ole Miss at 19, fair. Can't really disagree with that. Michigan's ranked 20th on a 4 jump. They've been rolling pretty good lately. They just had a great win in overtime to beat, if it would load. Can't remember. They beat a ranked team. They beat Purdue. That's who it was. They just beat Purdue, and it was a crazy good game. I love where they're sitting right now. Missouri is 21, recently ranked 15, so a heavy drop after a loss to Texas A&M. And they haven't beat Texas A&M in 6 straight home games. Crazy number, by the way. Mississippi State is 22nd. they're all right. They lost 2 straight. They lost the third. There's 1-3 in the last 4. Not a great run. And the only win was a Georgia game by 1, where their bench points outscored. Clemson is ranked 23rd after being ranked 25th. Huge, and not a huge climb, but a decent climb after the Duke win. They have 5 straight wins against top 5 AP polls. Creighton is 24th. They're on a 9-game win streak. They're doing pretty good. I like that team. I think they're a decent threat for a run. And the last team is Maryland at 25. They are tumbling, fumbling, and rumbling down the rankings. Not as good as they used to be. We're going to see how they hold up well, though. So, continuing that, I don't know where else to continue with that. I'm excited for that tournament. I think Florida has a decent chance of winning it all. I also think Duke and Houston. Can't wait to make brackets, that's for sure. That'll be a blast. But let's continue on to some NBA, because it's been pretty fun. Not for a Magic fan, though. Magic look awful lately. If you watch, I made a bunch of shorts I made 3 shorts about the rankings and where I put them power ranking wise. Go check that out. Pretty good work, I'd say. But, so, I don't know where to really talk about NBA. The Thunder are the best team in the league. Cavs are doing pretty good. Trade deadline was fun. I don't have anything for the NBA. We're going to do a big video for the NBA soon, though. Tomorrow, next episode, it'll probably be out Friday. I'll probably record it Wednesday, Tuesday. I don't know. We'll have to see where I get. But we're going to talk about top 30 NBA team players, I think. I think that's a fair way to continue with the NBA. But, I mean, what else do I got to say? Thank y'all for watching. Please, please, please check out the shorts. Like, subscribe, follow, share. Do whatever you have to. Get them out. I hope y'all help me out. Thanks for watching, though. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.